Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it certainly seems reminiscent. I was relatively young during the 2008 crash, but I was old enough and I was cognitively aware. And of course, I've studied the history of economic crashes throughout my 20s and really with a heavy focus in my late 20s. With banks collapsing left and right, it seems awfully reminiscent, awfully similar to the 1929 crash and the 2007-2008 crash. It seems like it always starts with a bank. Now in this case, the banks that are crashing are no Lehman Brothers, but it does seem to be the result of some sort of systemic rot in the financial system. And here's where things get a little bit interesting in terms of the analysis. In 2008, the culprit for the most part was mortgage-backed securities, essentially a bunch of unqualified customers being given mortgages that they can't afford, and then those mortgages being sold, being vendored, the whole system collapsed. But in 2023, it might be something a little bit different. And this may sound a little bit wild, a little bit conspiratorial, a little bit crazy, but wokeness may be playing a role in the financial institution collapses that we're currently seeing. In other words, the concept of getting woke and going broke and might be a factor of this 2023 bank run leading to a possible economic collapse. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we already covered it. We already know Joe Biden's side. The Biden administration is doing what they always do, blaming Donald Trump for the bank run, the banking collapses that we've seen so far, but I have a totally different opinion. There's an interesting common denominator between the two major banks that we've seen fail, specifically Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank. Both of them are incredibly woke institutions, dedicating most of their PR efforts to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and apparently not just their PR efforts, but a good chunk of change too. It's now coming to light that Silicon Valley Bank supposedly gave $75 million, 75 million with an M, to the Black Lives Matter organization and other related movements. But of course it doesn't end there. We're also learning that key members of the Silicon Valley Board of Directors included a former Barack Obama administration official as well as Hillary Clinton campaign donors, and supposedly an improv actor, essentially a bunch of woke leftist goons in charge of a major bank in Silicon Valley, funding all of the tech companies and startups. What could possibly go wrong? Tucker Carlson actually did a great segment on sort of the culture that dominated Silicon Valley at the highest levels, at the executive levels.
And of course, there's endless posturing, because it's all free, about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Marissa Fan, the managing director at SVB, wrote this on LinkedIn just 3 weeks before the bank collapsed. Quote, "Feeling inspired and energized after hosting an extraordinary group of pioneering and dynamic women at Silicon Valley Bank's female founder and VC Tahoe ski retreat." Boy, adjectives are free. They use a bunch of them. And then she attached pictures of the ski trip, showing the group of these pioneering and dynamic female bankers having a great time. Because of course they're having a great time, because few things are more empowering to oppressed female bankers than skiing in Tahoe. And they kept this crap up to the very end. As their bank began to slip beneath the waves, SVB posted this on its social media feeds. Quote, "As part of Women's History Month, we're celebrating founders of women-led companies like Sumo Wealth's Beatrice Acevedo, a company that SVB described lovingly as, quote, focused on closing the Latinx wealth gap." That's the problem with Latinx. There's a wealth gap.
Welcome to this woke clown world. You want a competent White House? Well, we'll give you even better. We'll hire people based on their skin color, their orientation, their preference in bed, and whatever anatomy they have between their legs. As we know, those are the most important factors. And then, of course, it leads to one of the most failed administrations in American history. Well, that same philosophy basically dominated the banking world, at least at certain institutions. Invest your money with us. Well, why should I invest my money at Silicon Valley Bank? Do you have the most competent executives and directors? No, I'll do you one better. We hire exclusively women who like to go on ski trips. Oh well, where do I sign? Let me wire all my money into your account. Entire industries are collapsing on the back of this woke diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. Whether it's the entertainment industry, film and TV series, producing endless woke garbage that continues to tank, whether it's in government, I mean the Democrat Party, Exhibit A, case in point, or of course the financial sector, that's in charge of possibly the most important thing, the economy and people's money, people's life savings. banks, their focus isn't on making the right financial moves or securing their clients' deposits. Their focus is cultural Marxism. Absolute frickin' lunacy. Clown world. And it seems to be the common denominator here. I mean, Signature Bank engaging in a lot of the same woke PR buffoonery. But the story that everyone seems to be talking about, Signature Bank, happens to be that New York City institution that infamously closed Donald Trump's account. They were more focused on PR stunts by coming out with a very woke and brave political statement like Orange Man Bad than they were once again making the right financial moves and securing their customers' investments. Signature Bank went broke. The racket, however, is exposing itself. You know, I'm ragging on Silicon Valley Bank, for instance, for focusing on cultural Marxism instead of, making good plays. I'm poking fun at them, laughing at their failed investments. I mean, they literally hedged a bet against inflation. It doesn't get any stupider or more incompetent than that. But honestly, that might be a little bit naive. I think they made the best investment of all. These banks invested in the Democrat Party. They invested in the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens, all the woke causes and diversity initiatives. And it put them in a position where they're not too big to fail, but rather they're too politically connected to fail, because all of a sudden, the Biden administration isn't hesitating to bail them out. It seems as though the Democrats have completely infiltrated and taken over the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and we're now learning that the FDIC is stepping in and insuring pretty much all investments. I think they're even insuring investments above the $250,000 threshold. In other words, using the FDIC to bail out the bank. You think that would have happened if Silicon Valley Bank donated to Donald Trump's political PACs and campaigns? I don't think so. I mean, we saw what happened in East Palestine, Ohio. We know how Democrats treat their political opponents in times of crisis. And so we've gotten to a point where competence doesn't matter, performance doesn't matter, everything's insured, the taxpayer always has to foot the bill. I mean, the most egregious part is we're now seeing the FDIC essentially standing in the way of another financial institution, another bigger bank coming in and buying SVB, because of course the free market can't handle this situation. The government, in other words, the American taxpayer, has to foot the bill by subsidizing and bailing out failed woke institutions. You know, it's really been a mystery recently how the Democrat Party became the party of Wall Street. You'd think that big banks in the financial sector would be strictly Republican, but now it's finally starting to make sense. Democrats have infiltrated federal agencies, and so big finance, big banks, Wall Street can essentially do what they want. They can make the riskiest plays that they want. They can mismanage client funds as long as they genuflect to leftist causes and leftist activist groups. As long as they stay married to the Democrat Party, the Democrats will always be there to bail them out. That's the racket. Promote our cultural Marxism and our cultural revolution and our slow march towards socialism, and we'll ensure that you never fail, regardless of whether or not you play by the rules, and regardless of how incompetent you are with client funds. Welcome to Clown World, folks. You could be as woke as you want and you'll never go broke because money printer go brr. And then of course taxpayers have to pay for it. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.